welcome back to Argus Hamilton's Comedy Store tonight. Terrific show, hot audience, ladies and gentlemen, and we got you. And we've got our next comic that we helped raise right here at the Comedy Store. One of Mitzi's last selections, and we love him. You've seen him on FX's The League, and Comedy Central. You get him now. A funny man. I get to work with him in the main room a lot. Steve Rannazzisi.
Yeah, thank you very much.
How are you, man?
I'm great, buddy. I'm very excited. I love this. Yeah. I love this for you, and I think this is great. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun.
Big fan. Yeah,
we're lucky to have all the support.
I love it. I really do.
And Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're doing the holidays right now. I have 2 sons, so we're in the middle of like.
How old are they?
11. Well, soon to be 11 and 7. 2 boys.
11 and 7.
So it's a lot right now. Well, I mean, I don't do any of it. My wife does all the work for it. Like, do you know an elf on a shelf is?
I've heard the phrase.
All right. So Santa Claus is the guy that we knew growing up.
Right.
That's the guy you would impress. Now that's not anymore.
Really?
Now you send an elf to your house. You sit it up on the shelf, and it's supposed to report back to Santa all the stuff, like a little Gestapo, like a little guard. This is what we're teaching the kids. Rat on your brother, and good things will happen. So, but you have to move it it's a responsibility for the parents. That's all you have to move it every night to make your kids believe that it's real. The elf has power. Yes, this is a whole thing.
Spooky.
How my wife is not on black tar heroin right now? Because right now, as we do this, she's like dangling from the ceiling, trying to figure out where to put this elf. Because you have to impress not only the kids, but you have to impress the other moms.
Yeah.
Because then you take a picture of it and you put it on Instagram, and if it's not good enough, then people make fun of you. But the thing is, I said to myself, I don't want to do this anymore. This is too much work for us. We have enough on our plates as far as Christmas is concerned. Yeah. But my wife said, don't worry. My older son, he'll figure it out this year and he'll tell the other one.
Right.
But she forgot that he's not that bright. No. He's very kind, very gentle, very sweet, very loving, but not the sharpest. So yeah. And so he's the one waking up every morning like, Dad, Mom, come look, the elf baked himself in a cake. And my younger son's like, you fucking idiot. He calls him Buddy. He says, hey, Buddy. He calls his older brother Buddy. August, that's what you call not smart people, right? Yeah. Hey, Buddy. Hey, Buddy. So, yeah, that's what we deal with right now. Just the complete opposite. My oldest is kind and gentle and sweet. And my younger son is the complete opposite. He's like Ray Donovan. He's like aggressive, smart, and an alcoholic probably too.
Yeah. We're saving him a seat.
There you go. Save the seat, please. Yeah.
Something just occurred to me to ask you about how they're adjusting to the technology available to them because I'm a regular at Holloway Cleaners down on near Barney's Beanery, and Kareem and his wife from India run that, and they have a 3-year-old daughter who just turned 3 named Anushka. Okay,
really?
I saw her last year when she was 2, playing on the iPad and calling up all the cartoons she wants. The mother told me night before last that little Anushka can find the iPad wherever they hide it in the house and order stuff on Amazon.
Do you think that's impressive? Her cousin's already building the iPad.
It's in the blood.
That's it. Right.
It's in the blood.
Yeah, she figured it out.
So your boys, were they inured in
technology?
They
we play. They like Minecraft. So we play this. It's a game called Minecraft.
Yeah.
It's you build stuff and you build a community and it sounds cool. But then when I play with them, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm walking into walls and stuff. They set me on fire. They call me. They tell me to take the L. There's all these terminologies. Yeah. I'm a newbie, a noob. I'm a loser, Argus. They have no idea how cool I am outside of their walls. But to them, I'm a loser. I'm a noob. It sucks.
You're a hip cat, man.
That's what I thought. I'm a loser.
Jeez.
That's how I feel.
Were they? Did they adapt to the phones and everything immediately?
Yeah, they're smarter than I am.
Yeah,
they know all the stuff.
Yeah,
they know how to get in. As long as I have to really be careful with my passwords.
Yeah,
that's the only thing stopping me. They know how to get everywhere to buy stuff, to get online, to do stuff. They know everything. Thank God my older son, like I said, is not that smart. Because otherwise, we would be a whole. he would be looking at YouTube and videos and stuff and showing the
Would
other
it not
one.
be good for them to see
No.
Daddy's history?
No, the dad's history. No, none of that. They love Mall Cop. As far as they're concerned, I show them Mall Cop. This is what Dad does. He's a jerk on TV once in a while, and that's how we have all the stuff that we have.
Yeah. Well, now, do they appreciate you on the league? They see you?
No, they never watched that show.
They didn't?
No, I mean, it's not really for them. My mom didn't even watch that show. It's
really?
too filthy for her. Yeah.
Oh, really? It was FX. that's
It was
right.
FX. It was cable. So she's like, "Oh, I'm playing a lawyer."
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, I'm not for me. I'm still not gonna watch it."
It's that dirty.
My dad's like, "I don't watch it either," but that last week's episode was pretty good. It was like Married with Children. That was a show that my dad and I watched growing up.
Yeah, that was
my mom would
forbidden,
like, "You
yeah.
cannot watch this,"
Yeah.
and my dad and I would sneak downstairs and watch it.
Well, now, you are very popular from the league, and you got involved in a sports thing here at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So the league was based around a group of guys playing fantasy football.
Right.
So when we started the show, fantasy football was pretty popular, but it became now this phenomenon.
Yeah.
So there's like daily fantasy sites and ways you can gamble on almost every single play. And so I started a podcast called What's the Odds with Steve Rannazzisi. We gamble on stuff. We gamble on sports. We gamble on pop culture. We gamble on everything. And so I started with Brenton Biddlecombe.
Right.
The Comedy Store's very own baby Brenton Biddlecombe.
Yeah.
And
He's
so
a sweet cat. He's been on the show. Y'all know Brenton?
Yes.
Brenton, very funny young comic.
I don't know why I answered for you, but you know him.
But he's been on the show.
He's been on the show. He's very funny, and so
Clean cut. He's our
Yes!
he's our Opie.
he really is.
Yeah,
He's like, he looks like a little like beautiful Russian nesting doll, like you took him out of like Captain America, right inside. So I started the podcast. I asked him to help me out with it, produce it, and so we've done this for about 8 months.
Yeah.
And about 2 months ago, October, I have a couple friends over to watch Sunday football, and he comes over with his fiance and tells me that week he had started playing daily fantasy, and he put $20 down, picked a fantasy football team out of all the players he could choose from. Each player was worth a certain amount of money. He created his team, and that day, he went on to win $1 million.
Yeah.
He came in first place out of 240,000 entries.
Yeah.
First place, won $1 million. In front of all of us.
Right there in the living room.
I almost murdered him. If his fiance wasn't there, I would have been. First of all, his fiance, I was like, you and I have to have a talk. Because, is this really? I mean, this guy just won $1 million. This guy, you got to start treating him differently. She wasn't really talking to him that much. You got to pay attention to him now. So he, because I mean, he's not much. Without the million, he really wasn't much to be around and look at. You know.
Now he's fascinating.
I took this kid out of nothing. I polished him off, and now he's a millionaire. And Argus,
Then he refers to you as my man.
well, because I was the expert on the show. Because I had done the league for 7 years. And so I knew about fantasy football, I knew about gambling, and then the one week he goes out, wins $1 million. First of all, my wife, who was out that day, came home, right, heard about this, and literally said to me, she goes, what the fuck is wrong with you? She goes, you've been doing this fantasy thing for 8 years, and you've never won anything. This is his first week, he won $1 million. I go, let me tell you something. I go, it's honestly like a stupid person fell into a hole and found $1 million. And I love Brenton, but he's a moron. And like the fact that he like Forrest Gump this thing together.
You named your first son after him.
Yeah, it was like, and now it's like people call in the podcast. We do it like we'll take callers and stuff. I like to do it like an East Coast call-in talk show where we can yell at each other. So people call him like, I like to speak to the expert, please, Brenton Biddlecombe. And it just to get me every single time. But I go, this is a podcast now where we've made 2 millionaires based around fantasy football. One who played a person who knew about fantasy football on television, and the other one who actually won $1 million playing fantasy football.
Well, is Brenton always? Is he a little late to the podcast now?
Well, yeah. Now he's like Ric Flairing a little bit. He came in the first week with like this beautiful. He's a Buffalo Sabres fan. It's this beautiful white Sabres goalie jersey, like way too big for him, and like it had gold outlay and all this stuff. And I was like, hey, easy does it, all right? MC Hammer, can lend me a lesson to you, all right? Save some of that money. You know, you gotta pay taxes, right? Wesley Snipes? Jesus Christ. It's like you gave the Beverly Hillbillies $1 million. You didn't know what to do with it. I'm like, you're gonna start digging a hole and bury it in the ground, you moron? I'm telling you. Argus, I have to watch this kid.
Yeah.
I have to put him under my wing.
Yeah, well, he started out 7 or 8 years ago as Tommy's mascot here at the store, and he just happened to know more about setting up websites and
social
more
media
than
and all that
anybody
stuff,
helped build this comedy store to where it's sold out every
Huge.
night. I mean,
Can I ask you something now?
Sure.
Because I hate to flip it around you, because that's something I'm interested in. You've been here for so many booms and so many busts.
Yeah.
We were together for a long bust.
Yeah.
The mid-2000s, everyone knew, this place did not have a single person in it for many, many nights. We had to start the show with 2 people. And many a time, I'd be working the cover booth, and Argus, who would call up at around 8:45 and say, all right, we ready to go? And I would say, I wouldn't be sure to tell you to come or not. He'd say, call me when there's enough people. Sometimes 4 people would show up. I'd call Argus up, he'd come down, 2 people would leave before he'd get there. And Argus would come like, son of a bitch, what's happening? I'm like, I can't keep him here, Argus. So I want to know what you think as far as like, what's happening now in the boom you see as compared to the other booms you've seen.
The difference is it's really replicated of their parents, okay? The baby boomers packed this place from 76 to 89 and 90. I mean, packed it, okay?
Yeah.
And I mean, this place jumped.
And it was multiple shows a night, like
Mitzi had 2 shows on Friday, 2 shows on Saturday in the main room, a full show in the original room. It was just jam-packed.
Yep.
Baby boomer performers. It was hot. The only time it was ever iffy was when the damn industry came in on Thursday night to showcase you. Because of the agents and the managers and the network executives.
Nobody
they don't
liked that
laugh.
pressure,
They sit there and look at each other. Okay? But the difference is that just when the millennials started making money around maybe 2012, 2013, Brenton helped to build that website, and all of a sudden I learned something about millennials. They do not like to stand in line wondering if they're going to get in the show. They like to buy those tickets ahead of time.
Yes.
And all of a sudden we started selling out ahead of time, and then with Adam's fantastic scheduling, and then Peter's foresight into spreading these shows around and selling producers different shows when we're not active. All kinds of shows are sold out all the time that aren't even scheduled by the comedy
But
store.
back in like 84, 85, you just knew coming down here was going to be sold out, right? There was never a question in your mind like, oh, I wonder what the audience is going to be like tonight? Or were you just like, I know it's going to be packed?
It was so good that I gave Mitzi an idea in 1982 to buy the restaurant across the street, Roy's, okay? So she could use it as a feeder to the first shows on Saturday and first shows on Friday and the main room show on Thursday. If you were eating at her restaurant, you would get preferred seating across the street. And it was so packed, people would eat at this restaurant.
Just to get the early seats,
Yeah. And then the waitresses would walk around this restaurant named Roy's that had been there a long time. You could just hear them coming down the aisle with the cocaine vials rattling in their aprons.
That's how you knew.
Yeah, I could hear it from across the street.
Like Pavlov's dog.
Yeah, it was crazy. People, because each booth facing the basin had these curtains, okay? You would close the curtains, and these people would order a gram from the waitress.
Oh.
Then they would order their food. They would start doing the coke. They'd get too wired up to eat. But they would order 10 drinks apiece.
Of course.
Right? And then the food would be sent
Sit
back
there.
uneaten,
Oh.
and the help went home with a feast every night.
That's great. Everybody won.
Win-win.
I love it. I love it.
But anyway, it faded the moment the Generation Xers came of age, and from that time, from about 1990 to the time you discovered, we had thin nights on weeknights, but our weekends were good.
Yeah, the weekends were always, you can get the main room together.
Because
Yeah,
all the
but
way
the
through
weekdays were like,
I remember it was packed during the Persian Gulf War, and it was packed during the Gulf War, because I did a lot of stuff on Saddam Hussein and stuff in the main room. And you were just coming along.
I got here in 2002. So
You were one of the last people Mitzi really groomed.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I mean, for me, I was privileged enough to be able to, when I was working at the cover booth, I would usually work Saturdays, and part of I'd work the original room 10:30 show.
Yeah.
You'd open up at 10 o'clock, but I'd get it to the store around 8, and I'd go to her house and hang out with her, and sometimes she'd want to, under the guise of like, she usually would want to come down and watch the show.
Yeah.
As she got older, she didn't really come down as much, but being able to just go and hang out with her for the hour and a half, 2 hours, walk her up to bed, say goodnight, and then go to the store.
Right.
Was, I mean, to have an hour and a half, 2 hours alone with her, to telling stories, and
she was very lucid. She was very lucid at your time. She was still very lucid.
Yeah, she really was.
She remembered everything.
She really, really did. She would still come and showcase people live, cross your name out right in front of you, break your heart right in front of you. Oh, how many times, Vargas, like Mitzi had to go stare at me while she crossed my name. Oh God!
Oh,
right in front.
I forgot about that.
Cross it right off.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, but I still I think about her often.
Yeah,
I do. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen Laura Bites.
Yeah, in the main room.
The other day I saw her open the original room.
Yeah.
She almost got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And part of it was just she's a fantastic comedian, but part of it just for me was like she was so good. I thought about how much Mitzi would love her, hearing her Wisconsin accent, how clean she is. I'm like, and I still like, and when I watch comedians now, I still see like, what would Mitzi think about this person?
Exactly.
How would she? Yeah,
that's just what I said to Francisco a minute ago.
Yeah,
same thing. Well, give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for Steve Rannazzisi.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic.
Appreciate it.
Perfect interview, man. We'll be right back. We got Sebastian coming up next. Don't go anywhere.